Welcome back to LTR. The Sunday Roundtable has assembled. So joining us this morning are Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh, Republican PA Rob Gray. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So you just heard the mayor of Lawrence. He says he's not interested in another political office. Do you take him at his word, Marianne? And do you think he should run?
Well, never say never, right? And so I have no doubt that when Dan Rivera finishes up his term, he's going to go off and make a good living and support his family, and good for him. But down the road, he's still a young guy. Anyone you talk to in Lawrence does not want him to leave as mayor. They think he did a great job, and the things he's done up there, not only to turn around Lawrence, but like the free bus rides are taking off in Boston and across the state now. So you want people like Dan Rivera to run for office, and if he does, it'll be a statewide office.
What do you think, Rob?
He's had more limelight than your average mayor outside the mayor of Boston, so I think he's well known statewide. I think he has some potential there for one of the lower statewide offices if he chose to do it, or as, let's say, an LG candidate, like Worcester Mayor Tim Murray did with Deval Patrick. I wonder if he's going to go into Charlie Baker's cabinet potentially when he's done. That could be an option as well, and they have a good relationship.
And he does have connections there now.
Let's check in on the Democratic presidential race right now. Bernie Sanders raising a stunning $34 million in the fourth quarter. Julian Castro is bowing out. And then there's Elizabeth Warren. A rousing speech. You can hear the cheers in the background here at the Old South Meeting House in Boston last week. Marianne, can she regain she had some mojo late last fall. Can she regain that?
She can, but it's going to be a struggle. She has to do well in Iowa and New Hampshire to be the nominee. And the advantage she has right now is that Buttigieg and Sanders are going after Biden both. So she needs to do what Lori Trahan did in the 3rd Congressional District when the Dan Coe dust-up was going on. She needs to run it straight up the middle and go on the inside, right up to the front, take advantage of that fight between all of them, and try to pick up the votes along the way to do well there. But short of that, if she doesn't do well in Iowa and New Hampshire, she won't be the nominee.
Do you think she's staggering, flat, or? She
clearly got hurt with her when she rolled out her Medicare for All plan, no doubt about it. But she laid out in the speech last week how to beat Trump, how to fix health care, and how women are going to change the country. That's her homestretch plan.
Rob, what do you think?
I think a lot of Democratic voters have looked at Warren versus Trump, and they're questioning whether she can beat Trump with the Medicare plan, the $1 billion in that, some of the other questions about her Indian heritage. Is that going to play right into Trump's wheelhouse? So I think that's hurt her. I agree that her back is against the wall. I think she probably needs to win either Iowa or New Hampshire, or she may be done.
Not just come in a close first.
Win one of the two. Win one of the two.
In the front row of that Warren speech, with only Congresswoman Catherine Clark between them, were Senator Ed Markey and Congressman Joe Kennedy. The two, of course, are now fighting for the same Senate seat, but said all the right things after the Warren event. Take a listen.
We are here for Elizabeth. That's the one and only reason that we are here, to give our total support for her and her candidacy.
Senator Markey and I go back obviously a long way. This isn't personal in any way. It's I think both he and I are here celebrating the next president of the United States.
So both of them were also at Warren's official presidential announcement last February. So my question is, when do the gloves come off on this one, Rob? Any predictions?
Well, I think it's true that they're either shadow boxing or boxing right now, and pretty soon it's going to be MMA. But I think when that's most likely to happen is after the March 3rd presidential primary, when the focus is off Elizabeth Warren, Deval Patrick a little bit more. And also, when will the TV ads start? How much money do they have? How far back can they start advertising? That's usually when it gets tough.
Marianne, is Rob right about that?
I have a little different take. I don't think it's going to start anytime soon. It might start after the March primary, but Joe Kennedy has no need to fight Ed Markey right now. He still has a double-digit lead over him. And ironically, Ed Markey can't do it right now either, because he needs to improve his standing with voters to attack Joe Kennedy and have those claims stick. So for now, it's maybe shadow boxing, maybe detente, but it's Joe Kennedy's advantage not to fight, and Ed Markey can't fight right now.
Will it boil down to a TV fight, do you think, in the end, though, in the final
Well, whether
months?
it's a debate or ads, sure, in the end.
I mean, we're going to have the verdict in September because it's a primary, so that the campaign could start sooner with the spending.
I want to talk about the holiday break now being over. It's wrapping up for all of us and for Congress. So the question is when and if the Senate actually gets the articles of impeachment from the House, what will the trial look like, Marianne? What do you think?
Well, it was fascinating, wasn't it, since the holiday break to the present, with Nancy Pelosi holding on to those articles of impeachment and all the Republican cracks starting to form. storm that Mitch McConnell was watching. First it was Lisa Murkowski, then Susan Collins, Mitt Romney behind the scenes, even more privately. So I think the House and Schumer is going to have a lot more to say about it, especially when you look at the polls. 71% of voters in this country want a trial, want testimony, want evidence, want witnesses.
Susan Collins says she'll be okay with witnesses, Rob. I mean, and as Marianne said, Lisa Murkowski, and the question now is, what about Mitt Romney?
Well, I would guess that he is making some noise behind the scenes, but not publicly. He may come out publicly. I do think that moderate Republicans will control the process here because there are judicial appointments that are going through that Mitch McConnell and the president very much want that are just going through by a few votes. So 3 or 4 Republicans can leverage McConnell to play this out the way that they would like as opposed to how he would like it.
And that's all you need is 3. And there's up to 10 who are willing to do it.
We continue on the record. Stay with us.